Snap Judgment Studios. Daily Show correspondent Dulce Sloan and writer Josh Johnson are best friends who rarely agree on anything. On the new podcast called Hold Up with Dulce Sloan and Josh Johnson, they turn their hilarious, unpredictable, and legendary office banter into a war of words about topics big and small. Mostly small, from texting versus calling to club bangers versus conscious rap and everything in between. Listen to Hold Up with Dulce Sloan and Josh Johnson from The Daily Show every Thursday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Odoo is the most popular open source ERP for many reasons. It's affordable, easy to use. However, most companies rely on Odoo because their applications are fully integrated. But wait, what does fully integrated mean? Imagine a mechanic. They don't waste time running around a shop looking for tools. They keep everything they need in one convenient toolbox. Odoo is just like that. But instead of a hammer or a wrench, you get applications for every aspect of your company. They're always connected and communicating with each other, letting you stay up to date at all times. For a free trial, visit odoo.com/snap. That's odoo.com/snap. Okay, so we had no clue what was on the horizon. But just a few weeks before the world heard about this new contagion, Earlonne Woods from the Ear Hustle podcast crew, he came over to my place for dinner. I got to throw down some ribs and something vegan because this is California. We're just kicking it. Casual, brews, folks, a regular evening, something I took for granted until the pandemic took it away. I haven't had people inside my house since that day, and I love company. Friends, neighbors, visitors, stopping by, planned or unplanned. And Earlonne, as always, he has a slightly different perspective on visitation. It's colored by his time spent in San Quentin State Penitentiary, and I'm thrilled because 1 year after the pandemic shut down access, Ear Hustle is once again bringing stories from inside lockup, and this is real life. As such, it contains language that may not be suitable for all snappers. Listener discretion is advised. We're sharing an episode from their current season about prison visiting rooms and what happens when prison visiting rooms go away. Snap proudly presents Ear Hustle's Hot Trash from PRX's Radiotopia. We begin with Ear Hustle's Nigel Poor asking a few questions.
Hey, how old's your daughter?
She's 4 months.
4 months old. And what's her name?
Alina.
This is Vesta. Her husband, Ruben, is incarcerated at California State Prison Corcoran, and she hasn't seen him in a year since the pandemic started.
She and I are going to have a visit with her daddy this weekend. It's going to be the first time her dad gets to meet her. I was telling her, you're going to meet your daddy this weekend. It's going to be so fun. You get to talk to him. You get to see him. And I'm so excited. And we just had like this little celebratory moment to ourselves.
But because this is the time of COVID, this wasn't going to be a real in-person visit. It's a visit with quotes around it, meaning a video visit.
Yep. And it's no substitute for the real thing, but right now, it's all families have.
I pictured us in my room, our room, and I would have her out of the frame and wait for him to kind of get settled. And I would probably like give him some air hugs and kiss the camera and tell him how much I love him so much and how much I miss him. And instantly he'd be like, where's my baby? And so I'd be like, wait, okay. Like, what about me? Me first. But I understand. So I'd pick her up and I'd bring her over and introduce her and tell her, Alina, this is your daddy. His dada. And just hold her up to the camera and let him see her. and him, and cry, probably. Yeah.
When you're incarcerated, Nige, visits are everything.
Mm-hmm.
They keep you going. You know, it's family and friends acknowledging that you do exist.
Yeah.
At least that's what it was for me.
Well, Erlan, you know that I've actually never been inside the visiting room as a visitor.
Right.
Because, I always come in as a volunteer. But I have been in there, and what I've noticed is it is a whole different place than the rest of the prison.
Oh, yeah. The visiting room is a very special place. You know, there are a few distractions, and, it's just you and your visitor getting your vibe on, your visiting vibe. And sometimes it's hard. I mean, the visiting room is where you remember all the shit you're missing out on. I mean, when you're in a cell or on a yard inside a prison, everyone around you is in the same situation you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of forget that the outside world exists.
Yeah.
But in the visiting room, it's like a reminder of everything you're missing. It's in your face.
The visiting room. That's what we're talking about today. I'm Nigel Poor.
And I'm Erlan Woods. This is Ear Hustle from PRX's Radiotopia. Drop that shit, Antoine.
This is Rasan New York Thomas on the yard of San Quentin State Prison. It's going down. It's going down. We back, Mortimer. We're back. All right.
It is so good to hear our inside co-host, New York, talking to guys back out in the yard. Really makes me happy.
COVID restrictions are easing up inside. So I know New York and the guys are happy to be out there with that recorder, just talking away.
Yard Talk is back.
Tell me your name, how long you've been down, and how do you get ready for a visit?
My name is Michael. I'm down 36 years. Shave and shine, man. It starts days in advance, though. I like to go out there sharp, so I iron all my clothes.
Hold on. What is shine? Say that again?
Shave and shine, man.
What do you shine, bro?
Shine my shoes, man. Shine this bald head up a little bit, too, you know what I mean?
Get this anxiety to make sure they're going to come, because sometimes you still don't know if they're going to show up or not. You know what I mean? And when they call your name, boy, your chest get pumped up. You walk out the cell like you Superman. You know what I mean? You feel good about yourself because you feel loved genuinely.
I've been down since a teenager, going on 21 years, right? So this is what I do. I wake up, I look in the mirror, turn the radio on before I even brush my teeth. Let the vibes and everything hit you. I wake up and do the shimmy like Carrier somebody, right? And then I grab the toothpaste, I'm dancing and everything, and I'm brushing back and forth, right? I'm looking at my shirt. I got a button-up shirt, creased up and everything, right? You feel me? So every day, though, it's like I'm going on a visit. So I might get called on a Wednesday, you never know, right? So every day, kid you not.
When we leave our loved ones on the street, sometimes you never see them again. And your family get discouraged sometimes, but they love you, so they stand in line for 3-4 hours just to see you. Now we only get 30 minutes, once a month on the video. So now you have to be selective about who you are able to see on that monitor. So if you got a choice between your girl or your wife or your mom's, who do you pick? Mom's come first. Damn, Ma, I owe you an apology. What's your most memorable visit? Best or worst?
I had been down for like 4 years at the time, and when I left, my baby girl was 1 year old, so she was 5 at the time. I went out to visit, and I'm behind this glass, and there's a phone out there, and she wouldn't pick up the phone, so I told her sister, grab the phone. And she grabbed, I said, put it to her ear. I said, baby, what's wrong? And she was like, I hate you. I hate you. I was like, man. I said, what'd I do? She said, you left me out here by myself. That was my worst visit ever.
The first time I saw my mom at juvenile hall after I committed this crime.
Why was that your worst visit?
Because all she did was cry and hug me. And she didn't believe the truth, and I didn't want to tell her the truth that I committed this crime.
I have a daughter that's, she was 13 years old and she had a baby. And now she's 15, but her mom just passed away. And I really need to see my daughter because my daughter is out there by herself now. You know what I mean? And I talked to her on the phone and she said, Dad, I wish I could talk to you more. I need to talk to you,
That's what's up.
Did you worry about him?
Oh, yeah. It was so massive. You know, that place is huge. And then the guards were so intimidating. And, the nights I cried. God store all your tears in a bottle. Yeah. Well, I have gallons up there. Yeah. It's my one and only, Yeah.
Hey, Ear Hustle producer John Yaya Johnson. Want to tell them who this is?
That would be none other than my mom. She's talking about the first few times she came and visited me while I was in prison.
Do you think that she ever stopped worrying about you when you were in there?
Nah, I don't think it was a day that she didn't worry. But after a while, you do kind of settle into a routine, Mm-hmm. I mean, I was locked up for 25 years, and she probably came and visited me several hundred times. I lost count. She came to visit me so much.
Now, this one, hold that over there.
Hold on.
Okay, let me see it close.
Oh, you're gonna like who's on that picture.
Yaya's mom says that every time she came to visit him, they take a picture.
Hell yeah, photos is just as important as the visit.
And of course, she still has them. Boxes of those photographs. I love that. I like how you're standing too. You know how to stand right in a picture.
All of the pictures look like that. I'm all that. You know you coming to visit. Put on your best. Put your best foot forward that day. Mm-hmm. A little makeup, comb your hair. Because this is a special day. You documented it on pictures. As you can see here, we look good on all our pictures.
So you saying you all that in a bag of chips? That's that old school.
That's how you supposed to think.
Uh-huh.
That is the classic pose.
Know.
That's how you look good in pictures. Yep.
So my two favorite photos, definitely, I'm looking at one, and this is from 96, 97. And I'm at New Folsom State Prison with my mom and my grandmother. My grandmother really gave me a stern talking to on the day we took this picture. She couldn't understand or reconcile in her mind how on the outside I appeared so successful, but on the inside, I was void, as she would say, of any concern about them. And to have my grandmother just say what she said really broke me. But it broke me in order to build me. And so this is one of my favorite pictures, 3 generations, me in the middle, my mother on my left, my grandmother on my right. And I always kept this picture near and dear to me. I remember my mother coming to visit me in 2005. And we sat down and she said, I had something to tell you. And so immediately my antennas go up. I'm alarmed. I'm thinking there's something wrong. Somebody passed away. So I tense up, brace for it. And she say, you know you're going to be a granddaddy, right? And I'm like, what? And she looked at me like, what you surprised for? Your son was the same age that you were when you had him. Like father, like son. Like 3 or 4 visits later, my mother comes up here unannounced. And when I'm sitting out in the visiting room, I see her come in and she's carrying a car seat. And she set the little girl on the table and said, here's your granddaughter, Paw. And here's this cute little girl smiling with drool. And I was conflicted with the idea of being a grandpa in prison, but at the same time falling in immense love with this little girl.
Yeah, obviously you're glad to be out of prison and you're glad he's out. But is there anything that you miss about your visiting room experiences together?
I guess for me, what I would say I missed about the visiting room experiences is those deeply intense personal conversations. Even though the visiting room is this huge room with a lot of people and there's a lot of noise, I kind of would zero in on my visit and cancel out all of the other noise and focus. I really miss my mom, and there was a lot of things that I wanted to share with her to try to give her an understanding about why I was in prison and how I contributed to her agony and being a delinquent. Over the years, we really used the visiting room as a therapeutic place to process our relationship. Growing up, she would tell me these things, and it would go in one ear and out the other ear. But when I finally had an opportunity to sit down in prison and really just reflect, it was like a role reversal. We would, study together in a visiting room, read scripture, have really deep, intense interpersonal communications about self-growth, where she feels she erred. We apologized. We just used that visiting time to really just seize a moment to grow closer. I mean, now I'm on the go. She's always on the go. So even though I'm here a lot, we don't really get an opportunity to talk like we did.
We were able to talk. We were able to talk a lot. This was another one. This was it. This was the last picture we took. This is the last, this was the end. Just look at you, trying to hunt you down to be my size. I'm going, if you don't stand yourself up. It's almost over. I felt it inside.
What's really significant about this picture is what I can see is the light in both of our eyes. We are really in this real intimate embrace. And I'm holding her and she's holding me like we can stay in this particular position forever. When I first came home, she had all of her visiting prison photos up around the house. And in the last 10 months, they slowly been coming down. I would like to ask you now, why in the last 10 months have you been taking the visiting pictures down?
Because that's behind us. That's a shut door. Yeah, I don't want to revisit that. We got what we needed to get out of that. And so now it's to evolve onto something bigger and better. I just started taking them down one by one. Yeah.
When we return, the Ear Hustle crew wanders through the visiting room and finds something special inside. On Snap Judgment, the Ear Hustle Spotlight Hot Trash continues. Stay tuned. Attention shoppers, we now have taste in the bread aisle. Dave's Killer Bread, that's right. An organic bread that's no longer a sedative for your taste buds. Dave's Killer Bread is on a mission to make the most of the loaf, to rid the world of GMOs, high fructose corn syrup, and artificial ingredients, and plant the seeds of good in all that they bake. Killer taste, killer texture, always organic. Dave's Killer Bread. Bread amplified. Using Talkspace feels a little like having a mental health professional in your pocket. Talkspace offers both therapy and psychiatry, and being able to reach out to a provider anytime, anywhere, makes addressing mental health super easy, and getting started is the most important part. As a listener of this podcast, you'll get $100 off your first month with Talkspace. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com. Make sure to use the code JUDGMENT to get $100 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Judgment and Talkspace.com. Welcome back to Snap Judgment, the Ear Hustle Spotlight, Hot Trash, already in progress.
Oh, I just had something really sweet. You just rested your head on your friend. Why'd you do that?
Because he's like my dad. I love him to death.
Yeah, definitely.
It's probably a good time to ask who you're sitting next to, Bucci.
So I'm sitting next to my dear friend, best friend, mentor, father figure, Frank Jernigan.
Bucci, that guy we just heard, Erlon, he was a real character inside San Quentin.
Yeah, Bucci was a cool Italian. Nicola Bucci. I mean, he was really active in a lot of programs.
Mm-hmm.
He was a runner with the prison running club.
Oh, yeah. He was always out there sweating, running around the yard.
Being arts and correction.
And longtime Ear Hustle listeners may even remember when we talked to him about his Bucci bars.
The Bucci bars. The soap bars that he'd mix with old hard orange peels.
Yes.
And shit to make these fancy ass soap bars that will exfoliate your skin.
Exactly.
While you're shining.
So that's Bucci. And Frank Jernigan, Erlon, you and I were just meeting him for the first time.
Right.
And how did you two meet?
So originally when I met Frank was in 2003 when I was a corporate chef for Google at the main headquarters.
And Frank, what were you doing there?
I was a software engineer at Google. I remember being introduced to Bucci, and he just has this really warm, friendly smile. And I remember asking him practically every time, hey, what's good now? And he would say, oh, try these spare ribs. They're extraordinary today. Or, oh, you want to try the haricot vert? What's that? Green beans. Those were the kinds of conversations we had. That was it.
In 2005, Frank retired from Google. About a year later, he invited some old work friends over for a party.
And one of my friends came up and said, hey, do you remember that chef named Bucci? And I said, yeah, I remember him. And she said, well, he just had a tragic automobile accident, and it looks like he's about to be arrested.
2 people died as a result of the accident, and Bucci ended up being charged with murder.
I was concerned, and I thought, well, I'm retired. I don't have anything better to do with my time. I think I will see how this turns out.
Frank decided to sit in on Bucci's trial, and after Bucci was sentenced to 23 years in prison, Frank continued to write him letters.
It's a big deal to hear from people, especially in those early days.
Oh, it's got to be tough.
You feeling like you've been forgotten by everybody and life on the outside just moves on without you.
I was feeling abandoned, sad, angry just angry at myself. I was disappointed in myself because I made poor choices that brought me to that situation. And I expected that I was going to get this surge of support, but it didn't arrive. Like, you see movies. Oh, we're going to be there, and that didn't happen.
But who did you expect would stand by?
Who did I expect would stand by would be my partner that I was with at the time. Wasn't there. And so I was feeling rejected from her. And I imagined that my close friends would be there.
Do you think it's fair to say that you felt isolated?
I did feel isolated, and that fueled the rejection, the abandonment, the disappointment, the anger, confusion.
What does that kind of isolation and disappointment do to a person?
It shattered my self-esteem. It shattered my self-worth.
In 2014, Bucci was transferred to San Quentin, not far from where Frank lives.
And so Frank drove out to see him. How did he seem to you?
He was just ecstatic and happier than I had possibly imagined that he would be. I didn't know what I was going to find. He was so overjoyed to see somebody from the outside.
When Frank came to see me at San Quentin, it was like I was reconnecting with all of that part of my past. Like having someone that I could hold and hug was important. I felt recharged, relief. I just sat and hugged and cried on him and just let it out. Like my body was just storing all of that. And Frank was the mechanism, the vehicle for that. There's someone that loves me. And it was just a demonstration and a manifestation of friendship and love when he came to see me.
Frank told Bucci, I'll come see you next weekend. And he kept coming pretty much every weekend for 6 years.
As he opened up to me, I opened up to him, and we decided, hey, this is a perfectly safe place to share all of our thoughts, all of our dreams, all of our experiences, and hold nothing back. What may not be apparent on the podcast is that I'm 75 years old and he's 48. He is the age of my 2 daughters. So it's an unlikely friendship. You know, I'm also wealthy from Google and he's not. I've never been in prison, and he spent 16 years there. I mean, there's so many differences between us, but there was some kind of bond that I think was almost spiritual from the very beginning. And I can't explain it. It's a mystical thing that happened.
I'm guessing that most people would not associate the word mystical with prison.
Yeah, but the visiting room is special. I mean, you heard Yaya and his mom. It's a special place where people really connect with each other.
But for first-timers like Frank, one thing that's really striking about prison is just how much red tape and bureaucracy there is. And if you're not used to that, it is daunting, Erlan, and it's probably hard to get to the mystical part.
True.
First of all, to get the right to visit, it takes 2 months. You send in an application. You don't know if anybody's going to reply. I didn't know to make an appointment 2 weeks in advance at 7 p.m. on Sunday night. So I get there, and I'm at the end of a very long line. I wait for an hour or more to finally get to go through the first level of security. You know, I might be wearing the wrong color pants, or I might, a couple of times I had to go change my pants because I had the wrong color pants on.
I think people like Frank, seeing the prison system for the first time, they're like, oh, I'll just talk to him, just reason with him, and they'll make an exception, or whatever the case may be. But you learn quick, there's no exceptions in prison.
Oh, totally. When a CO asks you to do something, you just do it.
They got all the power. What's the hardest part of your job?
The hardest part? Well, the hardest part I would say when I have to terminate somebody, kick somebody out because they're misbehaving, you know?
This is Sergeant Cuevas. He's a correctional sergeant at San Quentin, and we've had him on the show before.
And unlike a lot of COs, he actually doesn't mind talking to us.
So what's the bad behavior that you sometimes have to break up?
Well, I would say excessive touching, hugging, kissing. And I tell them, hey, you can't be doing it in my visiting room, you know. And most of them understand, you know, sometimes, hey, yeah, I messed up, you know, I'm sorry. Well, of course, I have to enforce the rules and, you know, kick them out.
Ah, yes. The kissing rules.
A hug and a kiss and some low-key feels at the beginning of a visit, and a hug and a kiss and some low-key feels at the end. That's it.
Low-key feels.
But you got to take something with you. You got to take the feelings with you.
What kind of kiss is acceptable? Because they say kiss, but what does that actually mean?
Well, it's an unwritten rule that say, you know, 20-second, 20-second kiss. But of course, this non-written rule. It's just kind of like, okay, that's enough.
But it's more than just like a little...
Yes, probably yes.
Okay.
Yes, like a little peck. Yes,
it's more than
probably
that.
A little bit. Yes, a little more. Yeah.
They call it French kissing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, it could be that, but you know, don't extend it, you know, to.
Okay. But 20
a whole
seconds.
minute.
20 seconds not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a whole minute. All the time. The dress code. Can you talk about the rules of the dress code for the people coming in?
You cannot wear no blue jean, no short skirts or dresses, no shower shoes, no see-through. Everybody had to wear undergarments, which of course is sometimes hard to check. You know, sometimes you can see the through the blouse, you know, they're not wearing, you know, a bra. So of course we need to send it back. Good thing is there's a vending machine out here that they start selling them like a sports bra now.
Are you serious?
Yes.
In that vending machine
Right
out there? Okay, so we're walking out of the office and we're walking over to what I've been told is a vending machine that has bras in it. Fruit of the Loom. I don't know what size they are, though.
I think one size fits all.
One size fits all?
Yes.
That is such a man thing to say.
That can't be true.
It's not true. One size does not fit all.
Well, that's what it says in there, you know?
You got to wear a bra in the visiting room, but it cannot be a bra with underwire.
Nah, that's how many times we talked about this on Ear Hustle.
Clearly, I love to talk about it.
This is like your favorite subject on this one.
It is true. I'm kind of obsessed with this. Ever since I've been going into San Quentin, I've been collecting wires that I find in the parking lot. They're there because they have that rule. You cannot wear a bra with underwire into the prison. So women show up, they find out they can't have underwires, they pull them out and fling them onto the ground, and they're everywhere.
And if they don't take them out outside the prison, they take them out inside at security. They hand them over to the guard who stashes them in a secret place.
Can we see if this infamous drawer actually exists?
Okay.
Oh my goodness! It is a drawer of them. Oh my God.
Yeah, so some of them, they throw them away right away. Some of them just...
oh, wait, why are you closing that drawer? I gotta look more. Can I touch what's in here?
Yeah.
I cannot believe it. Why are you guys saving them?
Well, sometimes they don't want to throw them away because this will be considered like hot trash, so we have to throw them away somewhere else, yes.
Yeah, why don't you define hot trash?
Hot trash is what's considered contraband in the prison. So when it's found or discovered, the officers confiscate it or take it, and they put it in a place where incarcerated individuals can't get to it.
Oh, my God. I cannot believe it. I'm going to put him back. I'm just...
Yes. And of course.
Are you allowed to give them away?
We throw them away, you know, so...
Can I throw them away for you? This is what I've learned at prison. If you ask a question, someone just laughs, it means no. So what is the equivalent for guys visiting? Do they have to have on underwear? And how do you know? A man. When a man comes in to visit, what are the rules for him?
Well, it's the same as the female, but of course I haven't not seen no men coming in with no bras. Or
no, but what about underwear? What if they don't have underwear on?
Well, again, that's something very difficult to check.
What you getting at, Donut?
Well, I'm just wondering that, women have to go through, I think it's a little bit more humiliating than what men have to go through when they get checked for visiting. I'm just wondering what the equivalent is.
Like, he wouldn't have drawers on?
Yeah, I don't know what else could a guy do that would break the rules except no underwear.
Oh, coming in with blue jeans, yes.
Blue jeans, okay. After the break, Bucci gets back to cooking.
In the visiting room.
Hold tight, snappers. There's more story being served and more visits to be made when Snap Judgment, the Ear Hustle Spotlight, Hot Trash continues. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Snap Judgment, the Ear Hustle Spotlight, Hot Trash. When last we left, the Ear Hustle crew was at the visiting room in San Quentin State Penitentiary, where the rules, they're strict about what comes in, what goes out. And Frank knows about these rules all too well.
Despite all of those hoops he had to jump through, Frank kept showing up to visit Bucci every weekend for 6 years.
Maybe like the 12th time, I said, Frank, why don't we just call these Lunch at SQ? And so Lunch at SQ was a place where Frank and I could share each other's intimate secrets. We can hold a safe space for each other. Everything would shut off, like all the noise in the visiting room, and Frank and I would just sit and visit.
That's kind of what people do in the visiting room, right? I mean, talk and eat.
I mean, that's kind of all you can do in the visiting room, at least officially. But yeah, food is a big part of it. People come together and they eat with their families and chop it up.
At most prisons, visitors cannot bring in their own food. So everything has to come from the vending machines.
Right. There's a row of them. You have frozen food machines, then the soda machine, the coffee machine, like a bunch of things. And occasionally, there's fresh fruit or veggies.
Yeah, if you're lucky, right?
Yeah, most of the vending machine food is pretty damn shitty.
And Bucci was a chef, right?
Right.
So he was going to have to take all of that vending machine food and Bucci it up.
My culinary mind started to start back up. I just started to think, okay, I can use some of these ingredients to dial it up and put my foot in it.
So what'd you do?
Usually we would just stick with our staple. We would do big ass cheeseburger.
Oh my God. I cannot believe he is talking about that damn big ass burger.
Ooh. And that's spelled B-I-G-A-Z.
They're kind of sad. They're like a plastic wrap burger that you heat up in the microwave. And I'm not going to say it's the worst, but it's not great.
You got a street palate, Nigel.
You have a street palate now, too.
I still eat one because it was good when I was in the trenches, Nigel. When I was in the trenches, it was great.
So we've had a lot of conversation about this big Asperger. It was Erlan's favorite inside, right?
That was the best thing in the vending machine.
So
it really was. In fact, those hamburgers were better than most hamburgers I've gotten at a fast food
I'm just not
place.
going to believe it. I'm sorry. Was it good because Bucci did something to it, or you really think out of the vending machine?
Well, he just knew how to make it perfect, I think.
Yes.
And we might get a salad that might have some onions on it. He put the onions on the burger. He might get avocado. He might smear avocado on the burger. Or he would turn the avocado into guacamole. And he somehow knew how to just make the most of mayonnaise and ketchup and mustard that was available and whatever else we could buy in the vending machine.
Yes.
Can you describe what the visiting room is like for you? Like, what does it feel like? What does it smell like? What are the sounds?
The really busy ones are very noisy, very crowded. The only thing I can think of is it smells often like food being microwaved.
I guess I thought that between the two of us, we knew pretty much everything there was to know about prison.
We sort of do.
But not long ago, we got an email from a guy named Michael Hatch. He is a vending machine operator at a couple California prisons, and he told us something we had never heard. Is it true that almost every prison in California has vending machines maintained by people who are blind?
As far as I know, the only two adult institutions that don't have a blind vendor operating vending machines is Pelican Bay, and I believe there's one in California City.
I was curious that you said we the blind, so you are blind.
I'm blind. I'm legally blind. I'm not a totally blind person, but I'm considered legally blind. I don't drive a car. I can't read a newspaper without magnification,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is it right to say blind person? Is that offensive to say blind person?
There's nothing you can say about blindness that would offend me.
What about offending other people?
Yeah. I mean, is it because when I was incarcerated, it was people wore vests that said vision impaired.
Yeah, I've seen that in the visiting room where a guy will have it just said blind, but no, I'm not sensitive at all.
So I'd never heard this before. But Michael told us that there's a federal law that gives blind people priority for contracts operating vending machines on a lot of government property. So that's highway rest stops, government buildings.
And, of course, prisons.
You select the foods that are going to be put in these machines?
Yes, there are some foods that I'm not allowed to sell, but for the most part, yes.
Such as like what?
Certain times I haven't been able to sell M&Ms and certain candies like that. My understanding is because it could look like a little balloon of drugs. Okay. I actually have a couple of visiting rooms where they told me not to sell microwave popcorn because the people at the tables pass the bag of popcorn around and they put their hand in to grab it, and maybe a visitor could drop something in there, and then the inmate could then pull it out when the bag comes around to them.
Do you like food? Do you like to eat? Are you a foodie?
I'm not a foodie as far as esoteric foods, but yes, I love food. Probably the most popular thing in the visiting room is a taco platter that we make, where they get 3 little tacos and a wedge of lime and a cup of salsa.
So, Erlon, did you ever have a taco platter?
No, I have never. I've never had the pleasure of even thinking about a taco platter unless it was a food sale.
This was the second new thing we learned. In some prisons, you can get homemade food from some of the vending machines.
Never in my experience, so that's crazy.
That blew my mind. And Michael says that he really does it up for holidays. I think I remember you saying you would ask your family not to visit you on holidays like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, because I felt like they should be at home. You know, I can join over the phone. But for a lot of guys inside, Thanksgiving is a big visiting day.
At a couple of the prisons where Michael works, he has access to the prison staff kitchen. And so when he wants to, he can really cook up a feast. Can you describe the meal so I can see it in front of me?
Well, it's in a microwavable platter, and it has to be the size that would fit into the vending machine. And we would cook turkey and then slice it up, put it in there, mashed potatoes, some stuffing, and maybe a roll. And we usually gave them a little bit of cranberry sauce. And then we always had pumpkin pie with whipped cream as well.
And what would that sell for?
I'm going to say if I was doing it today, probably about $7.50.
Okay.
Wow. That seems reasonable. That seems reasonable.
Hell yeah, that seems reasonable.
Have you ever had a vending machine nightmare? Like you've ever woken up in the middle of the night like... Go ahead. Yeah, like you've ever woken up and been like, oh my God. I would just imagine something like a nightmare where all the food is piling up and it just can't come out and it's just getting rancid in there and I don't know.
No, that's real life. That's when you make all this food and you find out that they locked the yard down Friday night. And now I got all this fresh food in there and there's nobody there to buy it because there's no visiting. You know, what I don't want is a whole bunch of food left over because frankly, whatever's left in my visiting room with the fresh food on Sunday afternoon, we have to toss because it's not manufactured in a way that it has that kind of a shelf life.
Right.
Whereas the big ass burger can sit there for 3 weeks and it's still within date.
That doesn't, yeah, okay, that makes me not want to eat one. Can you talk about like what this job means to you emotionally?
Well, I mean, as a blind person, blind people, it's one of the highest rates of unemployment of any group in the country. It's not easy for blind people to get work. So I took over my first location in December of 1986, and I haven't been out of work for 1 day this entire time.
Wait a minute, you've done this 35 years?
Whatever December of 86 to now is, yeah.
If my fingers are correct, I'm coming up with 35. I think you love what you do, and that probably shows in the food that you put in there.
Well, I do. And like I say, I'm just thankful that I've had a job all these years and been able to support my family and do all that.
He's not putting a taste of love in it, Nigel. He's putting a taste of freedom in it.
Yep.
Speaking of freedom, Nige, Bucci got his own taste of freedom not too long ago.
Yep. He served his sentence and walked out of the gates of San Quentin on January 1st of this year, 2021.
Frank and his family were there. His daughter documented the whole thing. It was very surreal. I think when you stop at the captain's porch or the watch commander where they say, okay, one paroling Bucci, that's when it really hits. It's been just a surge of processing my emotions. Like my emotions will come in these surges and waves and I just let it go.
So Bucci had only been out for a few months when we were sitting with him and Frank in this park near Frank's house.
Yeah, and Bucci had landed himself a pretty sweet re-entry gig.
So what are you doing now for a job?
Frank and his husband were kind enough to allow me to be their personal chef. And so I just feel a sense of gratitude and humility, and just, I feel fortunate.
He talks like he's the only one grateful for that. We get to eat his food twice a day, and I used to do all the cooking, and Andrew did all the cleaning up, and now we have been freed up to do other things with our time. And he just brings so much joy, and the food is so much better than what I was able to prepare.
The way I can give back was through cooking, right? Because that's a demonstration of my love, right? And also, if you don't put love in your food, it's not gonna taste good, right?
It's been that long, bruh.
1 2 1 2.
Hold on. Let me see if I'm on the right mic.
I am so excited about what we are hearing now.
I was waiting on the theme music to come in. Do-doom, do-doom, doom.
No. Not yet, my friend.
All right.
We have not been working in the media lab for about a year now.
Nope.
But finally, our Inside co-host, New York, was able to get in there with our friend, Rashid.
Listeners might remember Rashid's name from the credits. He's one of our music dudes. He sat down and chopped it up with New York.
So check it. They come out with the video visits at the end of November.
Right.
I rushed the information to my folks trying to get a video visit. They didn't do it in time. We missed November. You only get one a month.
I know.
And so I was trying to schedule stuff to stack it, get moms in this month, get Sue in that month, rock this month, trying to, work this thing.
We get appointment for, I think it was January 16th. They cancel it because we on quarantine again. Then we get another appointment for January 23rd. They cancel it because we went on quarantine again. Next thing you know, I'm on a yard and they call Thomas 589. You got to visit.
I was out there with you.
Man.
I remember, because we teased you, remember?
Yeah.
I was going up there for your phone call.
And my brother think I'm trying to get out of working out. I'm in the middle of the burpees. I'm sweating like a goldfish in a pond. So I come up out of there. I rushed to the building. I said, what time is the visit? They said 11:30. It was 11:05. I took a 5-minute military shower.
He slides into that visiting chair just in time. And there's his friend on the screen.
And I can see her. And it's my first time getting a Zoom meeting. You see the Zoom meetings on TV.
Yeah.
So I'm getting my Zoom meeting on, and this is cool. She's in her car on her cell phone having this video visit, right? And I'm seeing the back of the leather seats in the back of the car and all that, right? I'm like, this is a crazy place. I wanted to see her room, I've never been there, right? But it was cool. And so we in the middle of this video visit, and I asked her a question. She said, well, let me look it up. I said, no, it ain't that serious. We just chilling right now. You ain't got to look up nothing. No, it's nothing. I'll do it right now. Man, next thing I know, it just got her name, Miss Rati Watts on the screen, right? The video part of the visit is gone.
Yeah.
Now we having a phone call.
So when New York's friend flipped over to another screen on her phone to search, it killed the video feed.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard folks complain about some...
problems?
Yeah, some problems in the video connections.
Yeah, and the families we've talked to said they don't even like to call them video visits because they're not visits, and they don't want CDCR to ever forget that.
It's weird because, when you get to see your people, when you talk to them, it doesn't feel the same as when you see them in person, right? And so it's like you looking at somebody on TV that you're talking to, but it's just weird. Did you get that when you...
I don't know. It felt like I was part of the world for a change.
There's a lot of natural light coming in through the window because it's a pretty large window, so it'd be bright.
This is Vesta. We met her at the start of the show.
She was looking forward to her video call to introduce her husband, who's currently incarcerated, to their 4-month-old daughter for the very first time.
And I asked her, how did she imagine it going?
It'd just be very light and airy.
And what would you be wearing?
I don't know. I was thinking I want to show my shoulders, but I don't, because I can't do that at the visit. but I want to look elegant and classy, beautiful, motherly, not too sexy, but just right.
And what do you imagine his reaction is going to be?
I think he'll cry.
When you have this visit after you introduce her, do you think you'll feel closer or further away from him?
I think I'll feel further away. For sure. I'm almost 8:34 this morning. I get that email. Title, canceled WebEx meeting, 3A 4 weeks, his CDC number and my name. And the contents say, core visit 3A4 canceled this WebEx meeting, Saturday, January 30th, 2021 at 1:30.
And that's it? There's nothing else?
That's it.
It's so cold.
I'll pat myself in the back if I can go all the way through. This is all from memory. I'm not reading anything. Ear Hustle would like to thank Hamisi Spears, Lacedrick Johnson, Elton Spencer, Michael Marler, Kim Puckett, Anthony Ammons, Bashar Aremu, Floyd Collins, Brandon Browner, and Nephew for talking with us on Yard Talk. Thanks to Alesha Monteiro, Michelle Garcia, Michelle Tran, and all the women who shared stories of their video visits. Ear Hustle is produced by Nigel Poor, Erlon Woods, Rasan New York Thomas, John Yaya Johnson, and Bruce Wallace. This episode was sound designed and engineered by Antoine Williams, with music by Antoine, David Jassy, Greg Sayers, and Rashid Zinneman. Amy Standen edits the show. Shubnam Sigmund is our digital producer, and Julie Shapiro is the executive producer of Radiotopia. Ear Hustle would like to thank acting warden Ron Broomfield, and as you know, every episode of Ear Hustle has to be approved by this guy here.
This is Lieutenant Sam Robinson, the Public Information Officer at San Quentin State Prison. Visiting, much different visiting story than what we had in the past with, and I can't. Hold on, you got to remind me of the episode, man.
What? You mean the Boom Boom Room?
Oh yeah, the Boom Boom Room, and there have been some other episodes where it's kind of skirted the issue, but this one definitely had a much different feel than the Boom Boom Room and everything else. So, and I think the listeners will agree with me. So with that, I will say I approve this episode.
This podcast was made possible with support from the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, working to redesign the justice system by building power and opportunity for communities impacted by incarceration.
Ear Hustle is a proud member of Radiotopia from PRX. Radiotopia is a collection of independent, listener-supported podcasts.
Some of the best, most interesting podcasts in the land. Hear more at radiotopia.fm.
I'm Nigel Poor.
And I'm Erlon Woods. Thanks for listening.
Big thanks to the entire Ear Hustle team inside San Quentin and over at PRX's Radiotopia. This incredible group is in their 7th season of the show, and it's packed with amazing stories. Check it out and subscribe at earhustlesq.com. snappers, it happened again. And if you want to be the most interesting person you know, subscribe to the Amazing Snap Judgment podcast. It might just change your life. If you want to take Snap Nation wherever you are, follow Snap on the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram. Show them you snap with the t-shirt that says Snap Judgment right on it. It's at snapjudgment.org. And by now, you should know that this is not the news. No way is this the news. In fact, you could fool your friends and family with a scrumptious, gourmet Thanksgiving dinner, hot and delicious, straight from a vending machine. I promise not to tell. And you would still not be as far away from the news as this is. But this is PRX. If you run your own company, then you need Odoo. Odoo is an affordable, all-in-one management software built to increase the efficiency and productivity of any business, regardless of size, budget, or industry. With Odoo's massive library of fully integrated applications, you can control every aspect of your company from anywhere, at any time. So ditch that old, outdated software and get more done in less time with Odoo. For a free trial, go to odoo.com/snap. That's ODOO.com/snap.